What is up, everybody? Another episode of Mindful Microdose. We are streaming on multiple platforms. That's why we're in this angle. We actually got 2 cameras. We're actually on our Instagram too. And by the way, thanks to our partners at PSTV, we are going to be having the Mindful Microdose on podcast, iTunes, Spotify. We're going to be out there. We're going to spread the mindfulness love to everybody. But today's topic is something that is near and dear to my heart, near and dear to my co-host Navjot's heart. Probably the reason why Peak Mindful was created, which was why businesses need mindfulness, why businesses need wellness. These are topics that there's no longer the conversation of businesses need to incorporate programs or should. It's like, no, they have to. You want your business to succeed? Yeah. You got to do this. Because I got news for you. And we're very positive people. Like, I'm all about the power of the pause. And for me, I have to tell you right now, if you do not incorporate a program of some sort, your business culture has a very likely chance of deteriorating. It's that simple. Because we live in an age where everyone is, a lot of people are virtual or they're hybrid, kind of like us, where we have workspace, but we also work virtually. And there's some businesses where they had to do, layoffs, or they had some businesses that had to do, cutbacks, or there's some businesses that had to change the way they work because of everything. And so this is really an important message for anyone who owns a business or runs a wellness program. It doesn't matter if it's a startup, big size, small size, large cap. It doesn't matter what industry. You all have to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And I think it's just great because it's becoming more prioritized to do the preventative stuff, right? Because we all, you know what I mean? If you own a business, you have to pay for your employees like insurance, especially like, if you're a big company. And the one thing that, a team member of ours, Gabby, who's also worked in corporate wellness for a while, mentioned that you actually save money by investing in your employees' wellness beforehand, because chronic stress is the number one, like literally one of the top, like I think 85% was like the number of people that suffer from chronic stress.
Wow.
So it's like if your employees are dealing with chronic stress, not just little bit like little stressors, chronic stress, they are most likely going to get prescribed medication. They're most likely going to get, other illnesses, you know what I mean? Because stress kind of heightens any illness. So it's like, how can you prevent all of that and also show your employees that you care, right? And not only just benefit you and your employees on both sides, you know? So that's why I think it's really, really dope.
Yeah, I love that. One question for you is, let's talk to someone who doesn't even understand, how much time does this need? Because look, some people are like, my employees, time is money. How much time does it take every day for someone to do like a employee wellness program?
So it'd be like 10-15 minutes daily.
Interesting.
And you're actually saving time. So that 10-15 minutes that your employees are taking to just tune everything out and tune in, take care of themselves, that 10-15 minutes is going to save you hours, because guess what? They're not going to be as frustrated when they come back into work. And if they are, right, because frustration happens, they'll be more mindful and know how to handle it and how to work through it, right? Through the power of presence, through the power of mindfulness, like all of the things that we teach and, other business wellness programs teach. But mainly what we focus on, what I love, is that power of leveraging the present moment and mindfulness. And I think that, so you're actually saving time, but it only takes 10 to 15 minutes a day.
Okay, I love that. See, this is an interesting fallacy that Navjot is laying down, because I have heard from so many people where they think, oh, if I implement these programs, it's going to take up all my company's time. But she just said 10 to 15 minutes, and then you're going to save time. And I want to give you a simple example. If Navjot, for instance, who is a phenomenal master of breath work, she knows breath work better than anyone I know. I literally mean that. I've interviewed both with Mindful Microdose and both with my radio show. I've interviewed probably several dozen people who talk about breath work, and I would put her at the top 1%. So here's an example. With breath work, if you get someone to do breath work every day, this could help potentially de-stress them from a potential situation. See, one thing she said that I love is, we are in the business of the preventative aspect. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when people get that this is like helping you, like the way you get less doctor checkups. I'm not saying seeing a doctor is bad, but you don't want to always see a doctor unless it's absolutely needed or like there's some critical thing. You'd rather take care of your health because in the long run it'll save you money.
Yeah.
Right?
And you'll feel better, which is like the number one goal, right? And that's another thing that why I'm so passionate about what I do is because I am so, somebody last week came up to me and they were like, and they said they were asked by somebody, how many people do you know that are actually happy with their lives? And the guy had to think about it, and he was like one person that he knew.
That's so great.
And that's the thing, like it's so believable though, because everybody is so they don't know how to like focus back into themselves and like tap into happiness and prioritize happiness, right? So that's where like employee engagement comes in. If they are happy, if your employees are happy where they work and they are motivated and they feel like they have purpose, they're gonna work so much better. You know what I mean? And it's just like they're gonna work like with this wellness that they have incorporated inside of themselves.
I love it.
Instead of just working, because we spend like over 40 hours a week working, right? The average adult American human. So it's like you might as well figure out ways that you can love what you do. And as a leader or as a manager, really just hone in on like the importance of that, the importance of keeping your employees happy, right? Because you want that employee retention. You don't want people that are always going to just keep quitting, because that says more about you than it does about the employee. So I mean, I think that's really important, and the importance of happiness and joy. I think that's like a huge topic right now.
I love that. Joy and happiness. That's such a key thing. I think that the paradigm is shifting now. It's not just about making money. It's not just about work-life balance, which is now such a hard term to define because a lot of people working from home, so the work-life balance is kind of hard to equate. But happiness is everything. You're right. I love that. And that's the other thing, everyone. Like, happiness is a added benefit if you implement these programs.
Yeah, it's everything. It's like de-stress, happiness, peace, more presence, like I said. And the more present you are, the more like, you have more opportunities, you know what I mean? Because your mind's not in the future, your mind's not in the past, it's here. Wow. They say like you could literally be in a room but not really be there. And it's because like of you're thinking about so many things, and that's normal for the human mind to do. So what can we do to tap into that and tap into that reservoir of like happiness within?
Reservoir of happiness.
Yeah.
I think my last question for you is, what are some other daily exercises one would do? Like we talked about breath work.
Yeah.
What are, let's use this to say, okay, what are some other quick 10-20 minute examples that practitioners like yourself and others would do at businesses?
So I love to teach people perspective shifting. So what I mean by that, this is actually something that can be done in like 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes like 10 when you first start. So basically, whenever you're presented with a difficult situation, whether it's family life, whether it's work life, let's just say work life right now. So let's say you're presented with a difficult situation and you notice, because you're mindful, right? You're going to notice, hey, this is how I'm perceiving it right now. Perspective shifting. So even if you don't believe the opposite just yet, right? The positive way to look at it, or the more mindful way to look at it, the possibilities, right? I want you to just pretend, imagine that you could see it in that way. What would the opposite of that situation in your mind look like? That's what perspective shifting is.
Love it.
And then you go and then you start to see it like, okay, like I could see this as this situation, instead of like what my mind first went to. Then you just start to gradually start to see things in that light. And from there, like, oh my God, it's like a huge, huge game changer. So it's like going beyond your mind, because sometimes we think that when we're presented with a situation, that our first initial reaction, whether it's emotional, whether it's our thoughts, we think that that's true, right? Because it's so true to us in the moment. But if we take a step back, take a few breaths, like I'll usually take 5 breaths, and I'll be like, okay, what's another perspective that I can look at this situation, a more solution-based perspective, a more creative perspective, a more positive perspective, a more enlightened perspective. I'm like, okay, let me see how I could see the situation. And then it'll just come to me. I'm like, okay, generally you just switch around some words, right? Like, oh, this is impossible. You change that impossible to possible. And then your mind will naturally start to find, because your brain it's a CPU, it wants to find solutions. So when you open up that realm for solutions, your brain will find it. Your mind will find it. You just have to be that, you're the one computing, you're the one entering in the data, you know what I'm saying, the code. So if you enter in the code, instead of entering in the code that this is impossible, you enter in the code, this is possible. That is a perspective shifting exercise that I do, that you can do within, I'm telling you, once you start doing this, it might take you a few minutes, like at first, write it down, you know what I mean, see what words you can switch. Then it'll start coming naturally.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can do it like 5 minutes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good. This is a great conversation. Usually we have longer conversations, but there was just so much knowledge drop. But I will say one thing. It's not just about, and you and I have talked about this a lot, it's not just about how much time you spend on things. It's about how you manage your energy. I'm all about energy management. And
absolutely.
I feel that when you do daily wellness, especially when you implement it in your work life, you have a higher output. Like, I'll give you a quick example. I'm a big fan of Wim Hof breathing. And if I know that I have a set amount of meetings today, like in fact, before I had a meeting with you and Piper and another meeting before this, I did some Wim Hof breathing because I knew that I'm not gonna have time to like take a break. I had to be on it. And a 10 to 15 minute Wim Hof breathing is giving me the energy I need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
absolutely,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, breath work is amazing. You can use it any time of the day. You don't need anything, just your mind and your lungs, really.
Yeah.
And it's just about tapping in.
Okay.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, once you just get used to that, it becomes so natural.
So
You're
natural.
like, okay, like, I'm a little, like, stressed out right now. Like, let me just do the Wim Hof real quick. So, breath work is amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, any last words before we go?
Yeah, just try your best to make mindfulness simple for yourself. You know, like, we're giving a lot of tips, you know, on our platform, and like, you can always reach out to us too if you need any tips, but do what works best for you. And it doesn't need to take a lot of time. And just take that. That's the biggest takeaway, I think, is that it doesn't need to take a bunch of time.
Okay. Well, on that note, everyone, have a great day. We're going to do another one on Friday. And yeah, super excited where the Mindful Microdose is going to go. I want to thank you all because we started this off as like an experiment on LinkedIn Live, and now we added cameras because we're now putting this up on our different platforms, and now we're going to be on the podcasting platforms officially, and we got to just spread it. And if you guys have ideas and you have topics or you have some guest potentials, please hit us up. You all know how to reach us. This is super exciting times because this is the year of mindfulness. I'm telling you this right now. Yes, I understand it's the year of who becomes our president. It's the year of pandemic. Will it be, believe it or not? Obviously, those things are important, and our hearts go out to anyone who's been affected by the pandemic. But holistically, across the world, you can change one person at a time on a positive way with wellness, mindfulness, these types of things. That's why we do what we do. We're here to help serve you.
Exactly. Thank you so much for watching, everyone.
Bye.